Hello everyone and welcome to another video in VBLS Content Week. Today we are putting out the weather report. I have with me one of the drafters of weather in the format, Heaven. Say hello.
Hello.
I know you've done a little bit of content this season. Last season you did some content, but then you did some stuff in French and some of the meme stuff, and I think a video in English. But then didn't do a whole lot after that. I assume like life got busy or what have you. Are you planning on making content week to week throughout this season?
Yes, I will try. I don't know if I will go with the meme videos again or just regular commentary.
Yeah, well, look, if you do get the energy to the meme videos, they are, I think, some of my favorite draft content because they're quite easy to recommend. But I also understand that they can take a lot of energy and a lot of time to do it. I gave up on editing that sort of meme stuff way back in probably like 2015, back when I was doing it a lot. So yeah, certainly you'll see no judgment from me. The live commentaries, do you reckon in English or French?
I think I will go in English.
I tried watching them in French. I followed a lot of it, but I didn't know any of the Pokemon names in French, so I was like not knowing what Pokemon you were talking about, which was very confusing to me. Yeah. Look, either way, whatever content you'll make, I'm more than happy to recommend it to anyone watching the channel, and more than happy to watch it myself. In terms of weather, this switching to Series 2 and then into Regulation C has had a significant impact on how weather works in the format, especially for draft, because Sun becomes incredibly dominant when there are, was it 7, I think, legal photosynthesis mods. So we're going to explore how we think weather is going to play out in this format, with a brief look into Sun, but then a focus more on the niches and opportunities that the other weathers provide. Because I do think there are strong options, but also a lot of drawback. Because yeah, basically anyone with a prankster Pokemon and a photosynthesis mod is going to want to set manual Sun, whether you are a Sand team or not. Let's talk about the status quo. There is, Koraidon and Torkoal, though not Koraidon in this particular format, turning the sunlight harsh. Sun is very, very good because of photosynthesis and chlorophyll, and if there was a solar power user that wasn't Sunflora, probably solar power as well.
Yes. Do you know when Charizard will be legal?
Next year, I would guess. It's not in the decks, so like whenever we get like the Isle of Armor format sort of thing, is what I would expect, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
In terms of draft, I mean, people can switch to Nat decks literally whenever they want. I know WBG is doing Nat decks next season, which is I think a bit early for me. I'm still really enjoying a lot of the Gen 9 Paldea decks drafts. But yeah, photosynthesis is something unique to Sun as a weather, though electric terrain also has a similar input where it boosts the power of a stat. If it's speed, it gives them a 1.5x boost, and if it's any of the other 4 boostable stats, it gives them a 1.3x boost. Alternatively, they can do it by holding a booster energy. If they have Sun up, then they don't consume the booster energy, and then they can still get that booster energy boost later, which can be very powerful. And then chlorophyll doubles the speed, the Pokemon speed stat while in harsh sunlight, most relevantly with Lilligant, who can follow me, Torkoal. Not follow me, after you Torkoal. Though there are a number of other Pokemon which have some use as Sun abusers. Sawsbuck is like a more minor one that comes to mind. There are a lot of low tiers that, on a team that already wants to set Sun, are rewarded, can reward you for setting Sun. And Torkoal is the only main setter. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Jumpluff, I don't think of like the Jumpluff line is particularly rewarding for setting Sun, but they do give some counterplay to opposing Sun with Chlorophyll because they're faster than most of the Pokemon that abuse it at double speed. I think Tropius is in the format.
Yes.
Lilligant is, Sourcebike is, and Scovillain. Yeah, you're right.
With Fire type, I think he can be pretty good.
It's got that defensive compromise, but he's very strong offensively. So we're big fans of Sun in the format, and we're interested to see. I think it's going to really warp the meta, the weather meta compared to previous, even Series 1, but especially compared to previous generations. So when we shift out of the status quo to the old champ, not been having its best time this season. This generation. It's had like a real uptick early on in the generation, and then quite the fall off as the generation went on. With Rain. What was the biggest positive change to Rain this generation in your view? Heaven.
I don't know. What were the best? I don't remember the best swims prior to the Dex Cut this gen.
The things that really stood out to me as big changes that helped Rain out are Wave Crash. Getting that on a lot of random water types is very strong, both with Palafin and Floatzel, I think, are the main abuses.
Yes.
And then beyond that, the other big buff, I think, was Covert Cloak. Because Rain had always struggled with having very frail Rain abusers, and Covert Cloak, they would, a decent bit of counterplay to Rain would be faking out the abuser and then getting a free attack off on that turn. Because often you'll be clicking like a move that will threaten to one-hit KO it without Sash. I think Covert Cloak was very big for Rain, and I'd say pretty big for Sand, in ways that it wasn't as much with Sun. Though Lilligant doesn't mind it by any means. I don't think it was as impactful. But Rain is really still, like, it still has a strong niche in the current format, because Thunder and Hurricane are still strong, and water moves are okay.
It's always nice to have a smaller wizard with you. Always the opponent always has to prep against it. It's always a threat.
For sure, it can be really intimidating. I know you have Pelipper Floatzel. Did you also have Klefki, was it?
Yes.
And Iron Jugulus, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds like a Rain team to me. I think you have an electric type, but it wasn't one that was just Pincurchin, yeah?
Pincurchin and Rotom.
Oh, and Rotom.
And Iron Thorns also.
Yes, you have a lot of electric types. So a lot of Thunder users. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen base Rotom or base Pincurchin click Thunder in this format, but I have seen Iron Thorns click Thunder in this format, so...
Really?
To be fair, I've seen it a lot more than I've seen the other two. I've seen other Rotoms kick Thunder, though. Especially the grass one. Hydration is also an ability that I don't think you have an abuser for on your team, like you don't have like a Goodra or what have you, but it's if you do have that sort of support, it can be very strong, very impactful to have like that rest hydration on a team that's already indexed on taking advantage of Rain.
Yes.
But yeah, it's I think the it's not like a flash in the pan, but it was showing itself to be an incredibly dominant force at the start of the format, and then as the format has developed, we've seen Pelipper and, to a stronger degree, Floatzel falling out of favor, but still very strong. I think part of it is also that in draft we've better balanced tiers then. Because Floatzel was very, very cheap last season, is more what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Are there other use cases for Rain from, say, like a Klefki that we may not be considering as something where it might feel better this format?
Like can use Rain to against Chiyu. I know it's in my division. So against Heatwaves to lower the threat.
It does limit the damage from Heatwave. So
yes,
that's pretty good.
Also, in the future, there will be 2 new Swift Swimmers with Basculegion and Overquill. And Basculegion looks really good with Swift Swim and Last Respect. Also, it's Water Ghost, so he cannot be faked out.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be pretty impactful. I think in the current form, I mean, look, can't wait for them to bring it and like a Dracovish back, and then we can just like click Fish's random last respects and everything will die.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that there are relatively few good fire types in the format, and what good fire types there are in the format don't like Brain being up a whole lot, so that can definitely be a notable impact. And I do think Pelipper is a pretty solid mon in the current format. With Wide Guard is a super premium move in draft right now.
Yes, that's one of the main reasons I decided to draft him. At first I wanted just Klefki to Rain Dance, but Wide Guard looked really nice.
It did lose Scald and doesn't have Muddy Water, which is unfortunate, but it still has that strong Hurricane. And Hydro Pump in Rain is still strong. Chilling Water is okay, it can reinforce your existing high defense stat, though the damage isn't amazing. Or you could run Physical, click Liquidation.
The attack, I don't know how much damage.
I think it has 65.
But it's 50, I have it.
You always ran a physical move in singles with like U-turn and knockoff, so why not just do that in VGC? It's got 50 attacks. Sorry, I was wrong. I apologize. I would like to apologize to everyone in the audience for misremembering the funny number. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even get Brave Bird, by the way, because why would it get Brave Bird then? Oh no, it does get Brave Bird. There we go. You know what? Physical Pelipper. I think it's the meta call. It doesn't get Trailblaze, but it does get Seed Bomb. Sorry, you were saying something?
I'm gonna do that next week. We'll see.
Look, if you run into a team with a bad flying matchup, they're all just gonna run Assault Vest, so just ignore the Assault Vest by clicking Brave Bird.
Sadly, Pelipper doesn't get Sword Dance.
Indeed. So, are there any last things you want to say about Rain before we move on to the next weather?
No, I'm pretty sure that's all.
Alright. So now we have the Highball. Sand is in a position right now where it is, I think, super single swim, and I think it is the mon the weather that suffers the most, in the sense of it goes from being in a fairly decent position to a fairly rough position with all of the sun in the format, because it has, I think, only one Prankster weather setter, so you're relying on Hippo, Tita, Hippopotas, or Sandaconda, which I wouldn't consider Sandaconda to be particularly reliable, to get your sand weather off. My English is just escaping me. Not having sand is pretty bad for it. Lycanroc and Houndstone, I believe, are the only Sand Rush Pokemon in the format.
Yes.
There's no other Dracos. Sandslash isn't in the format, and neither is Excadrill. I don't think there's anything else.
No, just two.
But Hippodon's pretty good, I think. Tyranitar is in a rough position. Yeah, it takes advantage of Terra, but I think less so than other Pokemon, and it doesn't like not having sand. But it's still pretty good. It can check a lot of opposing Trick Room mons, teams, pretty reliably with Iron Ball, which is nice. Yeah, Hippo, I think, is in a better position with its access to reliable recovery and body press, as well as the stab earthquake and stomping tantrum. Or I think it might get high horsepower, I'm not sure. I think it might not in this current format.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, but Lycanroc, Dusk, and Houndstone are both very strong matchup fish mons, because Houndstone has access to a very strong ghost move, and Lycanroc is a rock type, and so if you're in a matchup where clicking rock moves is good, it's a pretty good mon. If you're in a matchup where clicking ghost moves is good, Houndstone's a pretty good mon. But both of them have pretty significant flaws, I think, beyond that, especially Houndstone being quite slow. He's very rough. But yeah.
Yes.
112 is only so fast, you know. Even in sand. Sorry, outside of sands, rather.
But I like Houndstone because it can run Fluffy just outside of Sand, the annoying with Snarl, Will-O-Wisp.
Fluffy is the one that only works on contact moves, though, right?
Yes, and you take 2 times more damage on fire moves.
Yeah, I know you take the extra, which is obviously a bad thing when with a sun heavy format. But I think the fact that you still take a lot of damage from a lot of the moves in this format, including Terra Blast, it's not the best format for Fluffy.
Yes.
Especially because I think some of the stronger moves that people are likely to be clicking in terms of physical moves are moves that you already take fairly well. Like, obviously, Close Combat and Double Edge are moves you're immune to. And then you do have that like Gunk Shot resist, which isn't even a contact move, so it's not that relevant. But or like U-turn is resisted. So yeah, Fluffy's interesting, but I don't know if it is like game winning. I think that you would probably just run Wisp on a Sand Rush set and be about as happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the nice things about Sand is that it does benefit from the Wo-Chien and Ting-Lu of the format, and it does to some extent benefit Chien-Pao and Chi-Yu because it has the ability to do damage over time. Chien-Pao and Chi-Yu appreciate the breaking sashes, and then Wo-Chien and Ting-Lu really like the fact that it does damage to the opposing Pokemon. And if you're using Ting-Lu, Ting-Lu isn't taking sand damage, and if you're using Wo-Chien, hopefully it's recovering through Leech Seed or some other form. So that you're not as worried about sand, but your opponent is being put in a consistently worse position as a result of the sand. Does that make sense to you, yeah? Heaven?
Yes.
So does that make sense to you?
Yes, the chip damage is always good.
Yeah.
And when you play a defensive man.
For sure. And it has its niche when you're being offensive as well. Alright, and then finally onto the new kid on the block. So this generation, they deleted Hail, and but it didn't change Snow Warning, but we've got the new move Snowscape. Summons a snowstorm lasting 5 turns, it boosts the defensive ice types, so it's now like just kind of worse than Sand, because Sand boosts special defense, but also does chip damage, and now Snowscape doesn't do chip damage, but does boost defense. So, it's alright.
I don't know why.
I'd say one of the big impacts in that is Aurora Veil is quite impactful. It's a way to compress move slots to set dual screens, and it does obviously work with the defense boost. The only concern about the defense boost is you're getting little ice types, which don't do that much with it. I believe that there are 2 Slush Rush abusers in the current format, which are Titan, Aspidgeot, and Beartick. I don't think I'm missing one.
Not just those 2.
Yeah. So Titan's okay. It's really good after a belly drum, but like to some extent, I mostly prefer it as a ground type clicking Earthquake because there's no like the main thing I think that Snow needs, which it's missing, is like a mon that can have Slush Rush and Blizzard spam. I mean, I guess you can Ice Shard your own Titan with or Beartick with a Bomb Snow and get the Snowball to get that +1 attack. Very juicy. It's just, I don't know. Losing Alola Ninetales was also a bit weird. And Vanillix. I think both of them were in last gen and aren't in the current format. Aurora's isn't in either format. There's a lot of Snow Warning mons. But all we've got right now is a Bomb Snow, which is very weak to fire. Again, issue with Sun. I think Snow is very difficult to justify in the current format.
Yes.
I think it's something which probably has some room for experimentation. But I believe it also only has one like prankster setter, and I feel like it might be something which is better like setting next to an Iron Bundle.
The only prankster Snowscape is Tornadus, and it's not legal. So,
Is what, sorry?
Tornadus. Yes.
I was under the illusion that the Grafire got it, but it doesn't seem to.
No.
For some reason I thought it did. I know Klefki definitely gets Sandstorm, so I wasn't wrong about that. I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm like 99% sure that Klefki gets Sandstorm this gen.
Yes,
yeah.
it's...
I can see. It's like the also not legal Galarian Slowbro with
Failing reception, I think.
With a quick, it's illegal, but you could use Quick Draw Snowscape. Basically priority. If you ignore the priority fit.
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some Bomb Snow with Iron Bundle clicking Aurora Veil. It's okay. Iron Bundle has a good defense stat, and reinforcing that with both Snow and Aurora Veil is okay. But you're probably better off clicking Blizzard, and I think the main thing it needs is a Prankstamon to help Iron Bundle click Blizzard, or even like a Baxcalibur click Blizzard. There just is not a lot. Or even Cryogonal click Blizzard, because Cryogonal honestly would very much appreciate that defense boost.
Yes.
I just don't think Beartic or Titan are strong enough, and they lack a spread move. Like, the reason that Sand is interesting is because they do have Rock Slide, which has a strong degree of utility with it. Ice Spinner removes terrain. That's technically something, but not a whole lot. And it's not a spread move, and it's not a particularly high damaging move. It's not Wave Crash by any means, and you don't even get your damage boosted in Snow. It's just, I think it went from being the worst weather to still being the worst weather, but now it doesn't have as much utility, even though it is a bit more consistent. So I think Snow is something which people can probably experiment with, and I know, like, you can slap a Bomb Snow on a team and like run Scarf and click Blizzard, and that will do something, and that will have game impact. But I think it's a very rare matchup in draft where you can run a Bomb Snow or even Snover with Titan or Beartic and get significant game impact out of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just don't think there is much of a justification for most manual Snow setters to set Snow. Because why wouldn't they just attack, Like, if you're running Weavile Iron Bundle to run a slower Iron Bundle than Weavile, so that Weavile can click Snowscape and then Iron Bundle can click Blizzard, why not just Icicle Crash with Weavile and Ice Beam or Freeze Dry with Iron Bundle at that point?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's basically where the issue is. The payoff is very, very low for Snow, whereas the maintenance cost is the same or higher than every other weather. It's higher because they don't have the Prankster option. Yeah, it's just, I think, very rough. I mean, they did the Snow rework, but then I just don't think they followed through. Chilly Reception is the thing we didn't mention. Slowking, and only Slowking, gets a move which switches it out and sets up Snow as it switches. There's probably some use cases for it. I often struggle to see what they are. I try using it, and it wasn't very coherent. It might be better on like a super fast mod, because it's not negative priority like Teleport. So maybe if you could use it in a similar way, like I was saying, to then get that fast Blizzard off. But it's on Slowking, the 30 base speed mod. And it's not like, like if you wanted a slow Blizzard user, Glaceon is still 65 speed. That's not particularly slow. You're better off just using a Bomb Snow, who already set Snow.
Yeah. I know Steve has Slowking English together to set to get a free switch in and set Snow at the same time for Blizzard. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's really good.
Yeah, the positioning for it just doesn't seem like it will work. And I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. I'm sure that you'd also be happy to see someone use Snow effectively. It's just
Yeah,
something
I
I
love
struggle
Snow,
to see.
but
Yeah. I'm glad they reworked it, but I wish they'd kept the chip damage in.
yes, I don't see a reason why they cut it. They cut the chip damage. Hail wasn't really good to begin with.
Yeah, Hail was always like, you know, the best Hail has ever been was back in Gen 4 in the meta with where you could run an unlimited number of Ubers as long as you only brought 2 to game. So I suppose you could run up to 4 Ubers in the GS Cup format back then, because Abomasnow was a check to Kyogre. That is the best Snow has ever been. I don't think it's ever been anywhere near that good. Because, I mean, then it was like a legitimate tech option that was, you know, piloted well by good players. And it's never been more than like a tech option. Yeah. It's also weird because I could understand if they wanted to give it a different identity to Sand, but then they didn't. They gave it defense, which makes it seem again like the defense boost, which is similar to this Sand's Snow boost. Spit F boost. So why did they change the other bit that made it similar to Sand if they were just going to make it still similar to Sand?
Yeah, it's real.
I think it was just some weird decisions in game design. Where I think I'm glad they tried, but I wish they had stuck the landing. And maybe just included like Auroras in the game, you know?
Yes, or Ninetales.
I mean, I don't. I probably would like Amora in Little Cup VGC more, because I remember I basically always ran Glaciate so that I didn't break my own Pokemon Sashes and Sturdy with Hail. But you know, it is what it is. Hyper Voice still pretty similar to Blizzard. So yes, I think that's our review of weather in the coming format. Sun is the absolute titan in the format right now. Having Prankster weather generally is pretty good. Sand has some utility even for teams which aren't playing into Sand via ability because of that chip, as well as like that defense boost. You know, if you have Klefki and Garganacle or something like that, the Spit F boost on a mon like Garganacle or a few of the other bulky rock types in the current format can be pretty impactful. And I do think Sandaconda is maybe interesting on a team that's already built around that, but then also is not weak to water somehow. Which is where I think the concern is. And also you often want a Terra out of being a rock type when you're a rock type anyways.
Yeah. Same issue
with ice types.
Ice type and snow.
Yeah. Whereas the sun and rain do not punish you for terraing into a different type. Because the damage boost is just very good, you know? Like it's really good. I think that, yeah, rain is okay. Sand has some use cases, but I think hard rain is a lot more reasonable than hard sand currently. I think Snow just really does not have a place for anything besides slapping Abomasnow onto a team. And Abomasnow's a reasonable mon, but
yeah, I think he is pretty good.
Yeah, like it's a decent mid tier, but I don't think that picking up a Titan or using Slowking for chili reception, certainly not Bear Tick, make a particular degree of sense. And I don't think I would take both Lycanroc and Houndstone. I would just get Hippo or Tyranitar with one of them. Whereas with Pelipper, you could honestly get two, like a Golduck and a Floatzel, and it would seem reasonable. Or like Barrascuda, or I think there are a few other Swift Swim mons in the generation, but I don't think any are quite as
that's good.
Like reasonable. But yeah, basically, I mean, you can still run Palafit with Pelipper, and it's still alright. And in terms of Sun stocks are way up. Fast Pokemon should set Manual Sun Prankster Pokemon should set Manual Sun, Torkoal should run Manual Sun, but I have a video talking about Manual Sun and Electric Terrain coming up at some point if it gets recorded, which it should hopefully do. So I would just like to thank Heaven for coming onto the video.
Thank you for inviting me.
I was glad to finally pry you out of the Reggie Labs. And I thank everyone for watching. Please leave a comment down below about some things that you think we may have missed about the different weathers. Let me know if snow is secretly the best weather in the format, because I honestly would love it to be true. And go check Heaven out.
Thank you.